A man who chooses his peace becomes irresistible. He doesn't chase, he flows. Calmness, confidence, and self-respect radiate from him. Women sense his stability, his quiet strength. Detachment creates desire, boundaries earn respect, and inner peace becomes magnetic. The man at peace doesn't follow. He is quietly, profoundly chaste. There is a quiet power in a man who chooses his peace. It is not loud or demanding. It does not seek validation or approval from the world. This power is subtle, magnetic, and unshakable because it comes from within. A man at peace does not react to chaos. He moves through it with grace, calmness, and clarity. He understands that true strength is not in controlling others or proving himself, but in controlling himself, in mastering his own mind and emotions. Every choice he makes is rooted in serenity rather than fear, in clarity rather than confusion. When a man chooses his peace, he stops letting external circumstances dictate his happiness. He does not fight to be understood by everyone, nor does he chase after approval or attention. Instead, he cultivates a world within himself where calmness, balance, and contentment reign. This inner sanctuary becomes the foundation of his presence, a presence that naturally draws others in. People, especially women, are instinctively attracted to this energy because it signals stability, emotional intelligence, and self-respect. Peace becomes power because it transforms how he moves through life and how others perceive him. A man who prioritizes his peace does not get entangled in drama. He does not argue over trivial matters, he does not compete for validation, and he does not react impulsively to negativity. He recognizes that every reaction carries energy, and he chooses to invest his energy in what truly matters. This discernment creates an aura of authority without arrogance, influence without force, and attraction without pursuit. Women feel it. They feel the calm in his voice, the steadiness in his gaze, the lack of neediness in his gestures. They sense that he is not trying to prove himself to anyone, that he is already whole, already enough, and that this peace cannot be disturbed lightly. Peace as power is also about boundaries. A man who values his peace knows what he will tolerate and what he will not. He protects his time, his energy, and his emotions fiercely. He does not allow toxicity to linger or control his decisions. This boundary setting is not rigid or cold. It is respectful, confident, and clear. It signals to the world that he respects himself first, and others respond to that energy with admiration and attraction. There is something deeply magnetic about a person who does not compromise their inner calm for external validation. Peace transforms every aspect of his life. It guides his decisions, strengthens his relationships, and elevates his presence. It is not passive. It is a conscious choice that requires discipline, self-awareness, and courage. And the beauty of this power is that it is contagious. It draws people admiration and respect effortlessly. In choosing peace, a man becomes unshakable, magnetic, and profoundly irresistible. There is an undeniable allure in a man who practices detachment. Not coldness, not indifference, but a quiet independence that comes from knowing his worth and protecting his energy. Detachment is not about walking away from love or responsibility. It is about walking towards yourself, towards clarity, and towards a life that is anchored in purpose rather than neediness. When a man is detached from outcomes, from validation, from the constant pressure to be liked or followed, he radiates a freedom that is intoxicating. Women and people in general are drawn to that freedom because it reflects strength, self-respect, and emotional maturity. A man who is detached does not chase. He does not plead for attention, demand recognition, or beg for affection. Instead, he allows connections to form naturally, letting them grow or dissolve without force. This creates an invisible magnetism because people are instinctively attracted to what cannot be forced, to what moves with calm confidence rather than desperation. Detachment teaches that love, attention, and respect are earned through presence and integrity, not through clinginess or insecurity. When a man is free from the need to control outcomes, he becomes unpredictable in the most compelling way, drawing admiration and desire effortlessly. Detachment also allows a man to maintain his identity within relationships. He does not lose himself in trying to please, in trying to fix, or in trying to mold others to his will. He remains whole, centered, and self-reliant. This self-possession is magnetic because it contrasts with the norm of dependency and neediness that often exists in human connections. People are instinctively drawn to those who can stand alone, who do not wobble with every change, who are comfortable in their own skin. A detached man signals that he does not settle for less than he deserves, and this quiet standard elevates the energy around him. Detachment is also about emotional freedom. It is the ability to experience life fully, to love deeply, and yet not be consumed by insecurity, jealousy, or fear of loss. A man who has mastered detachment knows that happiness does not come from controlling others, but from controlling himself. This emotional sovereignty is magnetic because it reflects a balance of vulnerability and strength. Women notice it in the way he listens without interrupting, in the way he speaks without demanding, in the way he holds space without suffocating. It is subtle, yet it commands attention and respect effortlessly. Finally, detachment creates attraction because it demonstrates that a man is living life on his own terms. He is not a slave to validation or external pressures. He chooses who and what deserves his time, energy, and affection. And this selectivity, born from self-respect and inner freedom, makes every gesture, every moment of attention, and every expression of care profoundly valuable. Detachment is not distance. It is presence with boundaries. It is calm without compromise, strength without arrogance, and freedom without isolation. A man who masters this art does not chase, and paradoxically, this is why he is chased. There is a unique kind of confidence that does not shout, does not demand attention, and does not rely on words to prove its existence. It is the confidence that comes from calmness, from being grounded in oneself, and from knowing that the world cannot shake you unless you allow it to. A man who carries this quiet confidence does not rush, does not panic, and does not overreact. He moves through life with a steady pace, a steady mind, and a steady heart. Calmness becomes his armor, and confidence flows naturally from it, creating a presence that draws people in effortlessly. When a man is calm, he demonstrates that he trusts himself. He trusts his decisions, his instincts, and his ability to handle whatever comes his way. This trust is magnetic because it signals competence without arrogance and strength without aggression. Women sense it immediately. They feel the security in his presence, the stability in his energy, and the reassurance that comes from being around someone who is unshakable. Calm confidence is rare, and rarity is magnetic. It speaks louder than words ever could because it is rooted in authenticity rather than performance. A calm man does not need to prove himself. He does not compete for recognition or validation because he knows his worth is inherent. He approaches challenges with clarity rather than panic, with strategy rather than impulsiveness. This ability to remain composed under pressure inspires trust, admiration, and desire. People are drawn to him not just for what he does, but for how he does it. His calmness conveys control, intelligence, and emotional maturity. It is the understanding that storms may rage outside, but he will not let them disturb the peace within. Confidence through calm also allows a man to handle relationships with grace. He does not overreact to disagreements, does not chase after approval, and does not bend to others out of fear or insecurity. Instead, he communicates clearly, listens deeply, and responds thoughtfully. This measured approach signals that he is not easily swayed, that his emotional world is protected, and that he values himself enough to maintain his equilibrium. Women are naturally drawn to this energy because it feels safe, strong, and alluring. Calmness creates a sense of trust that words alone cannot convey. The power of confidence through calm is that it is effortless yet undeniable. It does not rely on charm, looks, or material possessions. It relies on presence, awareness, and emotional mastery. A man who has cultivated this kind of confidence does not need to rush into proving himself. His demeanor speaks volumes. His calm attracts, his steadiness inspires, and his quiet authority commands respect. In a world full of noise, impulsiveness, and neediness, calm confidence stands out. It is magnetic because it reassures without controlling, attracts without chasing, and captivates without demanding. A man who embodies confidence through calm has learned the art of balance. He knows when to act, when to wait, and when to let things unfold naturally. He does not seek approval, yet he earns admiration. He does not chase attention, yet he is noticed. Calmness becomes his signature and confidence becomes his aura. Together they create a presence that is unforgettable, irresistible, and profoundly empowering. There is a profound power in a man who chooses value over validation. He does not live to please others, to earn applause, or to fit into expectations that are not his own. Instead, he lives by a standard that is self-determined, rooted in integrity, self-respect, and awareness of his worth. This kind of man understands that validation from the outside is temporary, fleeting, and often unreliable, while the value he creates within himself is enduring, unshakable, and magnetic. Choosing value over validation transforms not only the way he moves through life, but also the way others perceive him. A man who prioritizes his value does not bend to please. He does not compromise his principles, his time, or his energy to satisfy the whims of others. He understands that his worth is not defined by approval, compliments, or attention, but by the consistency of his actions, the depth of his character, and the integrity of his choices. This self-assured approach is incredibly attractive because it signals emotional independence, confidence, and maturity. Women, in particular, are drawn to this energy because it contrasts sharply with the desperation and neediness they often encounter. A man who values himself does not chase. Instead, he attracts, and the attraction is powerful because it is grounded in authenticity. Choosing value over validation also creates boundaries. A man who lives by this principle knows what he deserves and what he will accept. He does not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or unnecessary drama. This does not make him harsh or unkind. Rather, it makes him discerning, selective, and intentional in his relationships. Every interaction, every gesture, every connection is measured not by how it makes him look to others, but by how it aligns with his principles and enhances his life. There is an elegance in this approach, a quiet magnetism that draws admiration, respect, and desire effortlessly. A man who embraces value over validation also demonstrates resilience. He does not crumble when others disagree, criticize, or fail to recognize him. He does not seek constant reassurance because he has learned to affirm himself. This inner strength inspires confidence in those around him, creating an aura that is both safe and captivating. Women are naturally attracted to this energy because it represents security, reliability, and a man who is not easily shaken by external pressures. He becomes a stabilizing presence, a silent force, and a figure of quiet authority. Living by value over validation also transforms ambition and focus. Instead of striving to impress, he focuses on growth, purpose, and meaningful contribution. His actions are deliberate, thoughtful, and aligned with his long-term vision. This alignment between intention and behavior creates authenticity, and authenticity is irresistible. People feel it, women feel it, and they are drawn to it because it is rare in a world obsessed with approval, comparison, and fleeting recognition. Choosing value over validation is not about being aloof, distant, or unfeeling. It is about being grounded, self-aware, and committed to living life on one's own terms. It is a quiet, steady strength that radiates confidence, independence, and magnetism. A man who embodies this principle does not need to seek validation. He commands respect, admiration, and desire simply by being true to his own value. There is a magnetic force in a man who carries mystery and independence together. He does not lay himself bare to everyone, nor does he constantly seek approval or attention. Instead, he moves through life with quiet confidence, revealing only what is necessary, keeping his depths private, and allowing others to wonder. This combination of self-possession and discretion creates intrigue, curiosity, and an unspoken allure. Women and people in general are drawn to the unknown, to the man who is not fully predictable, who lives by his own rules, and who values his freedom above all else. A man with independence does not rely on anyone else to define his happiness. He does not cling, beg, or seek reassurance from others. His life, his goals, his joy, these are his responsibility alone. This self-sufficiency is magnetic because it signals maturity, strength, and emotional resilience. People are instinctively drawn to those who can stand alone because it reflects a stability that is rare and precious. Independence shows that he is not desperate for connection, attention, or approval, yet his presence feels complete and captivating. Mystery complements independence beautifully. A man who is mysterious does not feel the need to explain every thought, justify every action, or reveal every detail of his life. He allows silence, pauses, and restraint to speak for him. He understands that power is often in what is not said, in what is left to the imagination, in what others have to earn by paying attention. This mystery creates intrigue and keeps people engaged because it challenges them to notice, to explore, and to invest in understanding him. It is an art of balance, revealing enough to connect, but withholding enough to remain fascinating. The combination of mystery and independence transforms relationships. A man who embodies these qualities does not chase, does not pressure, and does not demand constant attention. He allows space for himself and for others, understanding that attraction is strengthened, not weakened, by freedom. Women feel drawn to this energy because it is rare, confident, and compelling. There is a sense of respect that naturally develops around a man who values his independence and maintains a certain mystique. They are not chasing a needy presence. They are drawn to someone who is whole, capable, and intriguingly elusive. Mystery and independence also cultivate respect. When a man is independent, he cannot be manipulated easily. When he is mysterious, he cannot be predicted or controlled. This creates an aura of authority and magnetism without force. People notice him, admire him, and are drawn to him because his energy is strong, composed, and unshakable. It is an energy that commands attention naturally, without any effort or desperation. Mystery and independence together create a man who is unforgettable. He moves through life with quiet power, emotional sovereignty, and subtle allure. He does not chase, he does not cling, yet he is noticed, admired, and desired. His independence speaks of strength, his mystery speaks of depth, and together they create a presence that is captivating, magnetic, and profoundly attractive. There is an irresistible power in a man who possesses emotional intelligence. It is not about charm or superficial charisma. It is about understanding, managing, and expressing emotions with clarity and grace. A man with emotional intelligence does not allow anger, fear, or insecurity to dictate his actions. He is aware of his own feelings. He acknowledges them without being overwhelmed, and he responds to life with a calm, thoughtful presence. This awareness creates a depth that draws people in because it signals strength, maturity, and self-control. Women in particular are naturally attracted to this energy because it offers a sense of stability and safety that is rare in a world full of impulsivity and chaos. Emotional intelligence allows a man to communicate in a way that builds connection rather than conflict. He listens deeply, not just to respond, but to understand. He reads between the lines, senses moods, and navigates conversations with empathy and awareness. This skill makes interactions smoother, more meaningful, and profoundly magnetic. Women feel seen and valued when they encounter a man who can hold space for their emotions without judgment, without defensiveness, and without attempting to control or diminish them. Emotional intelligence becomes a language of attraction, a silent force that communicates care, strength, and respect all at once. A man with emotional intelligence also demonstrates self-mastery. He does not react impulsively or allow others to manipulate his energy. He understands that emotional responses carry power, and he chooses to invest that power wisely. Anger is expressed constructively, frustration is managed calmly, and love is given freely but wisely. This mastery signals that he is not only aware of himself, but also capable of handling challenges, conflicts, and relationships with integrity. Women are drawn to this strength because it represents reliability, security, and the ability to create a stable emotional environment. Empathy is another cornerstone of emotional intelligence. A man who can understand and connect with the feelings of others does not lose himself in their emotions, nor does he exploit them. He navigates human connection with awareness, compassion, and respect. This ability to balance self-awareness with empathy creates a magnetic energy that feels both grounding and elevating. Women notice it in the way he responds, in the patience he shows, and in the understanding he communicates without needing to over-explain. It is subtle, yet profoundly attractive. Emotional intelligence also allows a man to remain calm under pressure. He does not crumble when faced with conflict or unexpected challenges. He assesses, he strategizes, and he acts with intention rather than reaction. This calm decisiveness signals competence and reliability, qualities that naturally draw admiration and respect. Women sense that being around him is safe, steady, and empowering, and they are magnetically attracted to this energy. Emotional intelligence is not just a skill, it is a presence. It is the ability to navigate life, relationships, and selfhood with awareness, empathy, and balance. A man who embodies emotional intelligence does not chase, he does not panic, and he does not rely on external validation. Instead, he radiates a quiet, steady power that commands attention, inspires trust, and captivates deeply. This is a man whose energy is magnetic because it is rooted in understanding, self-mastery, and emotional depth. There is a quiet magnetic strength in a man who respects boundaries, both his own and those of others. This respect is not born from fear or avoidance, but from a deep understanding of self-worth and the value of personal space. A man who honors boundaries knows that his energy, time, and emotions are precious. He does not allow anyone to overstep them casually or manipulate him into compromise. This self-respect becomes visible in his actions, his words, and the way he interacts with the world, creating an aura that is powerful, attractive, and magnetic. Women are drawn to this energy because it signals integrity, confidence, and a sense of security that is rare and deeply appealing. Respecting boundaries starts with self-awareness. A man who sets clear boundaries understands what he will tolerate and what he will not. He knows his limits, he recognizes what drains him, and he actively protects his emotional and mental space. This self-discipline is attractive because it shows that he is intentional with his life. He is not easily swayed by pressure, manipulation, or the expectations of others. By prioritizing his peace and well-being, he creates a presence that is both grounded and captivating. People instinctively respect someone who respects themselves, and women are particularly drawn to this combination of strength and balance. A man who respects boundaries also respects the autonomy of others. He does not impose his will, demand constant attention, or manipulate emotions to get what he wants. Instead, he allows people to be themselves, to make their own choices, and to navigate life freely. This respect for autonomy communicates trust, emotional maturity, and confidence. Women sense it immediately. They feel safe, understood, and appreciated in his presence because he honors their space, their feelings, and their individuality. This ability to balance his own needs with respect for others creates a magnetic energy that draws people toward him naturally, without force or neediness. Boundaries also cultivate clarity in relationships. A man who sets and respects boundaries communicates his expectations, values, and principles clearly. He does not leave room for confusion, games, or misunderstandings. This clarity fosters trust and admiration as people naturally respond to honesty and consistency. Women are drawn to a man who can navigate relationships with such integrity because it signals emotional strength, self-respect, and stability. There is a subtle power in knowing that he will not compromise his values, and this power becomes magnetic in its quiet authority. Respecting boundaries is about maintaining balance. A man who understands this knows that giving too much or taking too little creates imbalance, and imbalance creates chaos. By protecting his own energy and honoring the energy of others, he creates harmony in his life and in his relationships. This harmony radiates as calm, confident strength. Women are drawn to it because it reflects security, emotional intelligence, and maturity. A man who embodies this principle does not chase, does not demand, and does not manipulate. Instead, he attracts naturally, effortlessly, and profoundly, because respect for boundaries is a subtle yet powerful magnet for admiration, trust, and desire. There is an undeniable force in a man who exudes magnetic energy. This energy is not loud, flashy, or forced. It is quiet, steady, and profound. It comes from a man who has mastered himself, who knows his worth, and who moves through life with calm confidence. Magnetic energy is the natural outcome of self-respect, inner peace, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. It cannot be fabricated, borrowed, or learned superficially. It is earned through discipline, self-awareness, and the conscious choice to live in alignment with one's values. Women are drawn to this energy instinctively because it radiates strength, stability, and a rare depth that is both captivating and reassuring. A man with magnetic energy does not chase or cling. He does not plead for attention or try to impress others with words or gestures. Instead, his presence alone communicates his value. People feel it in his voice, in his gaze, in the way he carries himself. It is a force that commands attention without demanding it, that draws admiration without arrogance, and that attracts desire without effort. Women sense this energy immediately because it signals confidence, security, and emotional mastery, qualities that are deeply attractive on both a conscious and subconscious level. Magnetic energy is rooted in authenticity. A man who is genuine, who does not pretend to be someone he is not, naturally exudes a force that pulls others toward him. There is no need to perform or conform. He exists fully as himself, and this authenticity is magnetic. People are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin, who act with integrity, and who align their actions with their beliefs. Women recognize this alignment and feel a sense of trust, respect, and intrigue, making them naturally drawn to his presence. Another source of magnetic energy is emotional mastery. A man who controls his reactions, handles his emotions with awareness, and remains composed under pressure emits a quiet authority that is impossible to ignore. This energy is magnetic because it reflects stability and reliability, qualities that create comfort and admiration in others. Women are particularly attracted to this calm strength because it signals safety and emotional security, creating an invisible pull that is stronger than any words or gestures could achieve. Magnetic energy is also about presence. A man who is fully present, who listens with intent, who responds with awareness, and who carries himself with intention naturally draws people toward him. It is the energy of someone who is aligned with himself, who lives with purpose, and who projects a calm certainty that resonates deeply with others. Women feel it not just in his actions, but in the subtle energy that surrounds him, the way he moves, speaks, and interacts with the world. Magnetic energy is the sum of a man's inner strength, self-respect, emotional intelligence, calm confidence, and authenticity. It is invisible yet palpable, subtle yet undeniable. A man who possesses it does not chase, he does not demand, and he does not try to impress. He attracts effortlessly, naturally, and profoundly because his energy is rooted in who he is, not in what he wants from others. Magnetic energy is the silent, powerful force that draws admiration, desire, and respect without effort, creating a presence that is unforgettable and profoundly alluring. When a man chooses peace, embraces detachment, moves with calm confidence, values himself over validation, preserves his independence, understands emotions, respects boundaries, and radiates magnetic energy, he becomes unstoppable. This is not about arrogance or control. It is about alignment, self-mastery, and authenticity. Such a man does not chase, does not plead, and does not rely on others to define him. Yet, paradoxically, he is noticed, admired, and profoundly desired. Women and the world around him are drawn to his energy because it is rooted in truth, strength, and presence. True power lies not in possession, but in the ability to remain whole, grounded, and unshakable in every situation. The man who embodies these qualities becomes a silent force of attraction, commanding respect and love effortlessly, simply by being himself.